in this video, I'm going to show you how you can train your pup to pose with you in a selfie. For this specific video, I've got my helper Zeke here. Hi Zeke! Say hi to the camera. And Zeke doesn't know this yet, which is why he is not facing the camera. So we're gonna see how long it takes to teach Zeke this trick, and I'm gonna walk you through that step by step. For the best dog training and product advice, be sure to hit subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video every week. By the way, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lisa. I'm a certified professional dog trainer, and I've helped hundreds and hundreds of dogs and puppies live more peaceful lives with their humans. So I'll put here exactly what the final version of this looks like. So step one is to get our dogs just comfortable luring around and coming behind our bodies. So all I'm gonna do is make sure I have my clicker, I have a tasty treat here, and I'm just gonna lure him to get him used to like coming behind me. So it does take a little bit of like flexibility. You can always try, if you feel like you're not that flexible, bring right hand, left hand, and then click. But if you are flexible, you can always just do this, and it'll be easier with a bigger dog as well. So I'm just gonna keep reinforcing him for coming behind me. Here's what that looks like from the side. So I have my treat, lure, lure, lure. And at first I'm kind of taking what I can get, so it looks very kind of distant from the final version of it, but I want to break this down really small so that Zeke does not get frustrated. If you've done this more than 3 times and they're still not getting it, then I want you to reset, do something that they know really, really well, just because if they get too many wrong, it can kind of hurt their confidence. And when their confidence is hurt, they're not going to think training is fun. It's kind of like if you tried to do a really hard crossword puzzle and you just couldn't solve it, you couldn't even solve the first one, you would probably get frustrated and just not want to do it. So step 2 is do the same thing, but actually not hold the treat in your hand. So I'm still luring. You're okay. Good boy. So you see that I actually was not holding the treat in my hand. I got it out from my fanny pack. We're gonna eventually change this into a smaller hand signal. But we want him to get used to following our hand without actually holding a treat, so that we can eventually slowly make this into a hand signal. Now the next step, I've been doing this like pretending I'm holding a treat, so let's just see how he does if I point. So I'm gonna do like a mini point where it looks like I'm still holding the treat, but I'm not fully. Good. So you'll see here, not holding a treat. Come on. Yay, good boy. Just because you're using a clicker doesn't mean you don't praise, right? So we're still praising our dogs and puppies when they're doing a good job. And that time I wanted him to have a win, so I kind of move my shoulder. Ultimately, even if they're not cognizant of what exactly they're learning, we just want them to make the connection. Oh yeah, every single time I do this, the click happens, right? Hi. Hi. Come on. Good boy. Now, when you move from treat to no treat, if you feel like your dog is just really, really struggling, you can start to reward like even just going part of the way and then slowly work your way back up. The big thing is we want to show them that the direction that they're going in, both metaphorically and physically, is the right direction. And if they get that wrong too many times, then they're just gonna stop doing it because they're gonna be like, oh, this is wrong. So we just wanna make sure that even if they're not going all the way around, we're still reinforcing, but we wanna quickly move back up. So I'm slowly moving from lure to actually like pointing down. So the next step is, while I'm slowly moving away from just rotating as much, I'm also trying to reinforce him for just building a little bit more duration. Come here. So even though he's biting my finger, I actually don't have a treat in my hand, but I'm kind of just letting him realize that holding that position is gonna help him. Hi. Good boy. And for Zeke, he's having a little bit of a harder time holding that duration. So I'm gonna take it a little bit easier and maybe move back a few steps. So, because he's getting a little bit frustrated. Come here. Hi. In real life, if you notice that your dog is just getting kind of frustrated, you can always cut your session short and split this up into multiple sessions. Zeke is just a really fast learner, so keep that in mind. With most dogs, I would probably split this up into maybe 3 or 4 days. And so see, now he's building a little bit more duration. You can even start reinforcing him for just being behind and then just clicking for him staying behind and actually giving him the treat on my shoulder so that eventually we can get him to just do that chin rest on my shoulder. Now you'll notice I didn't actually use the verbal cue that I'm gonna use yet, and that's because when we initially start with using the actual verbal cue, what happens is something called blocking, where your dog is just so focused on your lure, they're not gonna actually hear what you're saying. So similar to, maybe some teenagers playing video games and you'll hear the mom say, time for dinner or clean your room, and they just ignore her. And that's because of blocking. So in the beginning, that treat lure is so enticing for them that they probably aren't really thinking of anything else. They probably aren't really hearing what you say anyway. So we don't want that cue to get diluted. So we don't add it in until they're consistently doing the behavior. So I'm not adding in the verbal cue yet, in case you're wondering. I just wanted to make that little side note. I'm gonna continue to just keep practicing, getting him to really build that duration of the shoulder rest. Good boy. Okay, so now that he's been kind of building that duration for a little bit longer, I'm going to actually add in my verbal cue. The big thing with adding in a verbal cue is that we want to say it first without doing anything, then the hand signal, then click, then reward. He's not going to know what it means yet, but what this builds is that association. So when he hears the word selfie, followed by the hand signal, he's gonna start to connect those two together after a lot of repetition. So notice I say selfie, pause, then lure him, and then click. Wow, he stayed there. You can also start to add in a release word. Okay, well done, yay! And so the other thing to remember is, for me, you might find this different. So selfie just means get to my shoulder and rest your head so we can pose for a picture. So if you're already behind me, then you don't necessarily have to walk behind me because you're already there. So I want him to know how to do it from different positions as well. It's called teaching our dogs to generalize. So that's why we want to face different directions. And then eventually you want to take this outside and in different situations as well. Now this is where we can start to refine it a little bit more. So right now I'm kind of like really maneuvering my body, which doesn't make for a great selfie. I want him more right here. So now I'm gonna start really trying to reinforce just him really being and resting on my shoulder. And you'll see he really wants to go over here, like lower on my arm. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of go back to luring and guide him like this. And I want him to be okay with me resting my head on him. This is where we can refine a little bit more. Okay, so the next step is to actually incorporate your phone, because ultimately we're teaching Zeke how to take a selfie with us. Selfie. I'm going to click, give him a treat, and then start to introduce the phone. This is where the clicker ring comes in handy, just so he actually sees the context of with the phone. Keep practicing with the phone. So ultimately, it's important that you train your dog in all different types of contexts. Honestly, Zeke is a little over it today, but I'm going to keep refining this with Zeke on another day, but ultimately, it's all about repetition. I think next, just because he is a little bit shorter, and part of it might be because it's hard for him to lift his chin and maybe it's a little bit uncomfortable. And so I probably want to work on having him put his paws up onto my shoulders. That might be a little bit easier for him. So if you're interested in seeing how how I teach that, let me know in the comments below. I would love, love, love to see your videos on Instagram. So whether you post it to your story or on an Instagram post, be sure to tag me because I just really like seeing you guys practice these fun tricks. If you want to learn more party tricks, I actually do have a party trick training course where I go over a ton of really, really fun tricks, and you can ask all of your questions in a private Facebook group or even email me directly your videos, and I give you feedback on those videos. If you're interested in that course, I've included a link to that below. Zeke and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now. Good job, Zeke. High five. Yes.